as we progress through. So how to use LinkedIn and live webinars. I've just kind of closed the chat box down temporarily just so I can kind of present, because I'm only on one screen today. And so with that, I'm going to be going through and talking you through the concepts of what it is that we do when it comes to running social media campaigns like this. And we cover and break down inside of our company the social selling suite at Pipeline 44. We're helping people every single day build social media campaigns, social selling campaigns, helping them generate converting revenue like consistently. What I find a lot of the time, and some of you might be able to relate to this, is that people are seeing either very, very good months or very, very bad months, right? And it's up and down. Has anyone else seen that recently? That a feast and famine, it's either really, really busy or it's really, really quiet. I'm hearing this a lot at the moment. I speak to lots and lots of people. And so with that, like what I thought I would just run is a series of workshops at the beginning of this year, explaining all the different ways in which we drive business into our company, and also then what we teach our customers as well. So today I'm going to be focusing in on webinars, but we also help people with demos and free trial type campaigns, people that run clarity and discovery calls, people that run scorecards and audits. And then there's some people that are running evergreen videos to sales calls as well. Now, I don't know which one you might be. I noticed there was a dentist in the house here. So again, it's going to be very much focused in around kind of utilizing like maybe the connection part of LinkedIn, content, direct messaging, if you're looking from a lead generation point of view. But like I said, today is going to be around webinars and how we utilize those to drive sales conversations into our pipeline. And the information that I've collected today, just so you are all aware, has been taken from the many hundreds of conversations that I've had over the past few years. And as a business, we consult on campaigns like this every single day for hours, every single day. And what I've compiled for you after doing so much analysis on this stuff are, I guess, the 5 biggest reasons why people struggle. And these reasons I share in every single workshop, just to remind people that actually where they're currently at is totally okay. And what you're experiencing, other people probably are as well. So as I reveal the reasons why people are struggling to see consistent business right now, what I would love to know is in the chat box at the end, I'm going to ask you the question of which one most resonates and connects with you. And the reason why I ask this is because today's presentation is themed around these 5 points. And so the 5 points I've split into 3 sections. And depending on where the majority of the votes go will determine how long I spend on each section. So everybody participating at this question is really, really important for me. The most important question you can answer. So the first big reason why so many are seeing little to no results when it comes to their social media and LinkedIn activity right now, really important to be aware and aware and reflect at this point, is number one, because when they are maybe connecting on a platform like LinkedIn, so you can build your network on the platform, you struggle to get the attention from your target market. So you might be putting content out there and then not engaging back with you. Like the content isn't getting the engagement. You might not be getting the inbound inquiries that you thought that you would get by just ramping up that activity. You may be sending messages, but getting ignored and getting blanked and getting ghosted. Number one is typically down to your lack of understanding, which I don't mean to sound horrible or harsh. Like I'm going to be very, very blunt and honest with you today. Like your understanding of how to get people to respond to you is typically why people struggle. So getting ignored feeling is quite frustrating. Number 2 is an extremely common one, especially on not just LinkedIn, by the way, but on the majority of platforms that are out there, is the fact that you're following your audience number. You don't have enough of the right people in it. So you can't drive the consistent traffic and new people up to the top end of your funnel to generate more business. And so you believe that if you could just get more people at the top, then actually you'll generate more at the bottom. Number 2 is the fact that the audience just isn't big enough or full enough for the right people. Number 3 is the one which I spend lots and lots of time talking about. And it's the one that I find the most sexy. Lots of people find boring though, but I'm going to try and make it as interesting as possible for you today, because actually this is the stuff that makes the difference for any of the customers that we work with, is having that predictable and sustainable process that's going to take a stranger, someone that you might be connecting with right now today, and then taking them on a journey to becoming a raving fan customer that refers more business to you. So that number 3 is something whenever I speak to anybody, giving them strategy, giving them advice, giving them help, I'm always looking at, do they have a process right now that leads people on that journey? Number 4 is purely, Dan, and this links quite nicely to the webinar topic today, actually, is that your services, your products, whatever it is that you're offering, you're not introducing it enough to your target market, right? And therefore, what's happening is these people aren't actually being presented with opportunities to buy it, or at least show interest in it. And so typically what happens is number 5 is, rather than you being proactive and going and getting business, typically you may be active on these platforms, as in ticking the right boxes, posting content, showing up in groups, etc., etc. But your strategy is actually being active and then waiting, almost basing your strategy on the hope of someone reaching out to you. And these 5 reasons, again, some of you might have them all, some of you might have 1 or 2 of them. But what I need to know right now, before I go into any of this session, is which numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, do you most resonate with right now? Because this is what's going to determine. I'm going to take every single answer here and make sure that I take an average with it. So 1, 4, 5, few 3s, all 5. Okay, cool. Keep them coming. Okay, so we've got a big variety, which is cool. Animation number 4. Okay, Sarah's a 1. Okay, so again, that's a big variety. Now, they are extremely common. Today, I mean, to be fair, I'm probably just going to have to spend equal amounts of time on them all, which is fine. I think number 3s and 4s are coming up quite a lot. And so today, I think it's really going to help you get some clarity on what it is that you need to do. And so today's session, I've split into 3 sections, all right? Number 1 is around clarity. And this is really, I guess, around strategy, the things that you need in place before you start diving deep into your social media campaigns. I'm then going to move into creation. So what it is that you need to have in place and start creating to build an audience, to then take control of that audience and then start to convert that audience, which is part number 3 there as well. So conversion is actually going to be a specific section on the presentation itself. So how do you actually run webinars like this without, I guess I'm not going to give away all of the tips now. You're going to have to wait until part 3. But how do you actually generate the sales opportunities? Now, I don't know if this is the first time that you've attended one of my workshops or if you've attended multiple in the past. Actually, let me ask. For those of you that are here for the first time today, could you put a number 1 in the chat for me? For those of you that are repeat offenders and you've been here before, just pop a number 2 in there for me. I just want to kind of see this split. So Tilly, not recognize your name. Lovely to see you on a Sunday morning. Awesome. So Mark, number 2. Good to see you, Mark. We've got Stuart, who's a 2 as well. Lee's a 2. Good to see you all joining as well. Amazing stuff. So we've got a big balance here. Now, for those of you that are here for the first time, I'm not a presenter that's going to sit here and talk about myself the whole time. What I'm going to be sharing with you are real insights into what we do, how we do it, and then how we get the results that we do. We've been trusted by a number of different brands that you can see on the left-hand side there. And if you really want to find out more about what we do, then LinkedIn is the best place to go. I guess the headlines are that myself personally, over the last, that's actually closer to 5 and a bit years now. That needs updating, that slide. But I've run over 350 webinars and I've consulted personally on 470. That's an ongoing number. Typically, we have over 260 customers currently, and I would say 50% of them are running webinars every single month at the moment. So that is a rapidly increasing figure. And we also ask all of our customers to report in their sales figures to us. So we're always tracking performance when it comes to webinars as well. I have to caveat, everything that I'm going to be sharing with you today is not based on being an influencer. I'm no guru. I'm no someone that pretends that he knows everything, right? I'm going to share with you what I've found that works, what my business partner has found that works, and also as a team, what we're seeing day to day with the hundreds of businesses that we work with. We're very normal people that have just been in the positions that so many have been in the past. And over the last 5 and a bit years for me, since being in this business, we've continued to grow. My business partner, Nick's been in business for 15, 20 years, a very long time, sold his company for multiple 9 figures a few years ago. And Nicholas Jones is his name. If you want to go check him out, I'll be talking about him throughout today. But again, we're just sharing real world knowledge of what it is that we do. And we share only stuff that we can back up and prove. I find that in today's social media world, and you might find this right now, I'm going to ask you the question actually. Does anyone find that social media, when it comes to using these platforms, you can see that there's quite contradicting advice out there? Some people are telling you to do X when there's another person telling you to do Y, and those things do not align, do not make sense, and therefore you feel a little bit confused, a little bit overwhelmed, don't really know where to be focusing right now. The issue is that people are copying each other. And I'm going to talk to you from a position of somebody that has a social media company. Now, I have done a lot of work on different based businesses. So not just working with social media people, but working with dentists, working with lawyers, working with accountants, financial services providers, leadership consultants, recruitment consultants. And so we've got very much like real life experience on what needs to happen for you to use these platforms to generate consistent business. What I find is that most people are giving this advice with very much social media bias. And so it's easy for me to give LinkedIn advice on a platform like LinkedIn because everybody's on LinkedIn and therefore want to know how to use it better. Let's take the dentist as an example, right? People aren't on LinkedIn to find a dentist right now. That's not why they're logging into it. You can help nurture, you can help make them aware, you can help build the relationships up with them. However, if you're not a social media person giving social media advice, it's harder. And therefore, what we need to understand is how do we do it differently depending on the business, right? Because it's always different. Every business's approach, the message has to be different. The offer has to be different. The way that you create your content has to be different. You've all got different strengths. You've all got different weaknesses. And therefore, there's no one size fits all approach to this, which is why I disagree with so much advice that is out there. And therefore, all I do is share what has worked in the many different industries, many different niches that we've worked in. And if you ever want to find out more about what we do, if you scan that QR code or just go and type in Chris Taylor Pipeline 44 on LinkedIn, come and connect with me. Actually, one of the things that I do on every workshop, and I've just finished doing the reviews for the last one I did. So I pick 5 people. If you send me a message on LinkedIn with the word workshop, send me a direct message on LinkedIn with the word workshop. I put all your names into a hat and I pick 5 of you and I just give you a free profile review. So I'll look at your LinkedIn profiles. I'll look at what you do. I'm looking at all the different gaps that you've got, and I'll give you a little Loom video that explains the things that you can do to automatically improve. It's just a thank you that I'm going to give to 5 of you. I can't do you all because there's nearly 100 of you on here right now, right? But if you send me a message on LinkedIn with the word workshop, I will then put you into the prize draw. But all of my journey is on there. You can look back from the last 6 years and you can see everything that I have done from my business point of view. I've done it from right at the beginning all the way to now, all of the mistakes, all of the issues, all of the absolute screw ups, but also a few of the wins as well. So again, if you ever want to see what we've done, just go have a scroll back. Now, my question to you, and I'm curious to know at this point, has anyone ever considered running a webinar to grow their business right now? I mean, yes, if you have, and no, if you haven't. Not a problem either way today. I'm just genuinely curious to know where your minds are at. So quite a few people. Okay, Liz hasn't. No. Okay. So for those of you that are saying no, that's totally fine. What I want to do today is kind of introduce to you the concept of why webinars work, especially when you connect it with LinkedIn. And so when it comes to live webinars and events, some of you may know this, some of you may not. But LinkedIn strongly encourages events to be run. And we link LinkedIn events like this, so you can set it up. And we link this to Zoom. So you're all on Zoom right now. So you will have noticed some of you might have come from the LinkedIn event today. Some of you might have come from elsewhere. But again, we've been doing them since 2021. Like we've been using LinkedIn events, like since we've been going through them. And webinars themselves do one thing that lots of other stuff on LinkedIn just doesn't do. Webinars allow you to book sales calls and also generate orders right away. Now, for those of you that have been on my webinars before, you'll know I'll always introduce and give you the opportunity to book a call in with us afterwards or to join one of our services or buy one of our products. The reason why webinars work so well is because the majority of you, if you're using platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook on the regular, you've got lots of low-hanging fruit in your networks. These people simply just haven't had the opportunity to find out more about what you do, because either you're not talking about it enough, or you're not giving them that process and that journey to go on to be able to get there. A webinar takes people off of that social media platform and allows you, one, to collect the email address, right? Really powerful, collecting that data, but also tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do. Now, don't get me wrong, not everybody is great at them to begin with. Hey, you could even look at my first webinar back 5 and a bit years ago. It was horrendous, but you practice and you get better and you get more confident. With a webinar, like, you're not just building your credibility here, but you also get to showcase kind of like the best version of you. And that's a sentence that I'm going to hold on to throughout the whole of today's training, because it's something that I see quite a lot. With LinkedIn, I don't know if all of you know this, but when you set up a LinkedIn event, so on the right-hand side there, basically this is a piece of content, right? So you go as if you were posting on the LinkedIn newsfeed, you press create post and you select event. You can then invite 1,000 people a week for free to come to your LinkedIn events. Now, don't get me wrong, not all of those people end up joining your webinar. However, those 1,000 invites, so that's just another way for you to be able to move people to the next step in your process. Like with our LinkedIn events, only the events themselves, we've generated over 17,500 leads ourselves. I couldn't even guess how many our customers have generated, but that's just from clicking buttons, guys. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever used them before. Like, are they the most effective thing in the world? Are they the best thing to do? No, but if you're not doing them, you're missing out on opportunity. And when you then combine this with all of the other organic opportunities that are out there, whether that is posting content, sending messages, I'm going to give you a checklist on this today so you know exactly what you can do to promote workshops like this. When you then combine that with paid advertising when you're ready, it really allows you to scale it up. And like, this was one that we ran back in 2024. Like, that's our top performer. I think we promoted for 4 weeks. And with that, we got 1,400 people. Now, I think about 400 of those ended up registering. So not all of them end up clicking on the Zoom, but this is just opportunity, right? First big tip, if you've not done it, if you want to run webinars, please do not be afraid of using a LinkedIn event with a Zoom registration link to just capture more and more traffic. Because over the past, I want to say 4 years, when I looked back at the data on this, like, we've really focused in on helping people run these webinars, webinar campaigns. So just so you know, this is the part to take a bit of notes down. When it comes to webinars, there are a few things that you need to have in place. Number one is an offer that is framed in a way that can be pitched on a webinar. So there are certain criteria that I'm going to be taking you through in this training that will allow you to meet that criteria. The second is then having a marketing funnel. So you need to understand the process. Webinars are actually about numbers, right? So understanding that however many you get register, that's going to then determine how many calls you get booked. You've got to understand your marketing funnel. It's very, very simple in reality, but you've got to understand it. You then need your presentation deck. So presentation decks, like, you can notice mine aren't particularly fancy, right? I'm a presenter that has text and uses text. I'm not just about images. Out of interest, for those of you that like presentations and running them, who uses, if you're someone that presents with images, put the number 1. So you're an image presenter. If you're someone that likes to present with text, put number 2. So I can see kind of like the difference that we've got. Like, I'm a text presenter. Like, I love using text to be able to do it. Actually, I'm a bit of both, Tony. That's really true. But there's nothing wrong with using images, right? There's nothing wrong with being like that. So just because you may see your presentations being a bit different to mine doesn't mean that one's right and one's wrong. They're both right as long as you can deliver the right information in the right way. You then need to understand how to promote. So really, when it comes to promoting, Patricia's actually put an interesting comment saying she just presents with no slides. I would really strongly encourage, if you're going to look to sell your services and products online, always having a slide deck, always. And there's a few things that I'll answer at the end as to why, if we have time, but I would always recommend it. But promotion comes from content creation, direct messaging, LinkedIn events, paid traffic. Like, there's loads of different things I'm going to be covering today in the second part of this. But then it also is about practice. So you're not going to get this right straight away. You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to get better. There'll be things that you do well and things that you need to improve on. But when you do that and you have those things in place, these are like the steps that basically we take every single one of our customers through. You'll see sales being generated consistently every month, because guess what? You're building an audience. You're then driving that audience to the next step where you've earned the right to talk about what it is that you do. And then you present them with the opportunity to either book a call in with you or buy. Like whenever we're working with someone, we look at every single step in that process, because every single step can leak opportunity. And I'm not going to kid you here. Like for those of you that are new to this, it can be daunting at the beginning, but you get more confident the more and more that you do it. And I'm not going to sit here and read these wins out, but this just goes to show the different opportunities out there. Jessica running webinars. She ran one, this was a couple of months ago, 20 grand training contract on there. Odile was another one there, highlighted in yellow. Fred is another one there, right? Every single day, I've got hundreds of these that I could share, and I've got a number of them in today's training just to back up that what we're talking about really does make an impact and work. You just need to make sure that you follow the steps I'm about to lay out for you. Now, the big thing, and this is something where I need you to be honest with me now, and I'm going to be going into a lot deeper content of this. I've not even started yet, guys, just so you know, like with the real content in this. This is just giving you the context. But you can see that message on the right-hand side there. Now, I've made it like anonymous so you can't see you said, but this is something that like I'm getting a lot of at the moment. And you don't need to make this publicly like aware to everybody, but just a bit of a reflection moment. I got this email from somebody, this was on the 4th of March, saying, I've always felt my business on a bit of a knife edge in that most of my revenue came from paid advertising. But in truth, I'm drowning. I just had to take out a loan to cover my corporation tax, and the business is now shrinking rather than growing. Outgoings are constant. I'm feeling seriously under pressure. My initial dream is to clear my business debt. I'm not too sure how to do about it. It just feels like it's getting harder to generate work now more than ever. Now, again, please feel free to change this to hosts and panelists. But what I want you all to realize is this is a complete and utter safe space today, and I'll help you in any way that I possibly can. But is anyone else feeling like it's getting a bit harder at the moment, and they feel like they're having to put in more effort right now to be able to see any form of those results that, you know what, previously, a couple of years ago, they were getting? Like with that, like I really appreciate your honesty, because that sort of email like hits me, right? If you're a coach out there, you'll know exactly what I'm saying here. You get a bit of a kick out of helping people. You love that feeling of seeing someone like make that change and make that difference. That email was a real wake-up call to me, because there are lots and lots of people that are suffering in silence right now. And I need you to realize that when it comes to this stuff, if you need help, just drop me a message. Like I spend time that where people have got money and they want to work with this, they can. But there's some people that can't afford it right now. And that's totally okay. We find a way to be able to work on it. There's a feeling in this marketplace at the moment that everything's getting harder and everything's changed. And there's now like less opportunity than ever before. Like our thoughts on this are extremely simple. The opportunity out there right now is huge because there are more active users on these platforms than ever before. It's just a bit harder to get their attention if you don't have the process to do it. People, and now, bearing in mind, right, you've got to appreciate that back in 2020, we had bounce back loans, right? We had a lot of freely available money. We were spending more freely because of it. Our expenditure was all cut back because we weren't really out and about doing much. And actually, people were in this mindset of buy. And so with that, it's not that the opportunity is shrank now. It's that people are just taking a bit more time to think about things before they buy, right? They're thinking, I've had 3 conversations just in the last 2 weeks from people that have said yes to wanting to work with us. And then going, do you know what? I've got a bit of a commitment issue right now because you know what? Money's a bit tight and I don't really want to be committing to this because we have to work together for a long period of time. And therefore, I just want another month to think about it. Like these are things that are going through. But this is why your process is so important. I'm going to be sharing this process with you really, really shortly, right? Really, really shortly. Like if you've got gaps in your marketing process right now, you'll be leaking opportunity left, right, and center. That the pandemic created this bubble of like easy business. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you what we've done, right? like to maintain that momentum for hundreds of our customers over the last 12 months. James just put in there, yes, I've been scammed. My parents are dead, or my friends are like, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Like, and it's not. I'm not here to preach to you today about how easy things are for me, blah blah. Because it's not that. It takes a lot of work, and it does take craft. But actually, when you understand, does anyone agree with this? When you've got like a process to follow, you'll do it. Right? Just put yes in the chat of that. When you've got a process to follow that you know is going to work, you'll do it. You'll throw everything flipping into it. You just need to know what to do. This was what I was asking for ages ago when I first started in business. And it was what my business partner was able to give to me. And all I have done is just applied it. That is it. It's all I've done is apply it. And it's something that a lot of our clients have done. Donna has been a client for us for a number of years now. And Donna would be the first one to admit that, you know what, sometimes about 6 months ago, she had a bit of a wobble, started to doubt herself a little bit. She had no reason to doubt herself. She is an incredible person, right? But you can see here, like genius, I think in this webinar, everything really clicked together. I feel that it's far better flow. So thank you for yesterday. I just need to finish it. I think that was my best webinar yet. 4 people booked straight away, 16 turned up. So not huge numbers. Thanks so much for your time. I've made 22 grand this month. So next month, I want to make it 15. I need to start putting things online. And then this testimonial here, she said, sorry about the typos, but I share this because like one of the things that you're going to see throughout this training is how much time and attention we need to apply to this, right? Being in business since 2003, always had steady business, suddenly struggling and doubting. But this is the process that just follow this today. Stay with me today. I know it's a Sunday and I might run slightly over, but I'm going to really dive into this for you. Like one of the things I'm going to give you is clarity on that process, right? And that's if you want to take a screenshot of it, I am going to be sending a copy of this in a follow-up email to you all. So you're going to receive this process because I know it's a bit small, and I'm going to be taking you through it step by step as well. But this webinar process is why you're here today. It's also why hundreds of others have worked with this in the past, because the numbers are the numbers. Nick, the slides I don't share, but I will. It might take me a few days, but I'll get a replay for people that want it. But you can see here, I use LinkedIn profiles. I use my LinkedIn profile and I build my network up. From here, I then send a message to every single person that I connect with. Is anyone doing that at the moment? If you are sending a message right now to every new connection, put a yes. If you're not, put a no. Like sending messages, one of the most important parts of your process. But it's not about selling and it's not about starting conversations for the sake of starting conversations. It is about moving people to the next part of the process, to control, right? L, I don't think I can without premium. You 100% can, L, even with, so I don't pay for premium or sales now. Sometimes I use a free trial, but I don't pay for it. But you can send messages to every single one of your connections. On Instagram, you can as well. So message credits is only if you are sending messages to people that you're not connected with. Once the connection accepts, you can then send them. There's Tony's just put that there as well. But remember, LinkedIn messaging, if you follow the process, we do not sell on LinkedIn. Number 1 rule, write it down. We do not sell on LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn to capture attention, build trust, and then move people off of the platform via a lead magnet, something that we give people for free so we can build an email list, right? We then will use email lists and LinkedIn to now promote our webinar, right? Now, here's a big one. I need everybody now to switch your chat so it sends it to everyone, if you can for me. I want you to tell me how you found out about this workshop today. Did you see a Facebook ad? Did you see an email from me? Did you see a LinkedIn invitation? Like, what was it? Share it. Flood the chat box with how you got here today so everyone can see the number 1 answer every single time. I love that, Naomi. Don't remember. And you can see here, paid traffic, flooding people in. But then email. We then have LinkedIn event. The people that have come from email typically have come from LinkedIn lead magnets, which is incredible, right? It's all just linked together. Now, one of the biggest problems, I said this before, number 3, back at the beginning, the reason why people are struggling is because their process is not connected. The scattergun approach. And so they try a little bit of this, they try a little bit of that. Do you want to give this a go? Unfortunately, it's just a shortcut to burnout. I know for certain every single time, if I run paid advertising, that will drive people. I'll get about 30% show up rate with Facebook advertising. I then have my lead magnets that are going out every single day organically, direct messages. I've automated it. I spend $25 a month. My messages are sent between 30 and 100 of them a day to all my new connections, building the email list. I then do content, building my email list. The emails then go out 5 emails every webinar, all scheduled in. Right, that's the breakdown of that process. I'm going to be going into more of it, but now we're going to go into clarity for you. So with this, we're going to now start to pick this up. The speed's going to pick up now, because before you really pitch your webinar, before you even build out your presentation, before you even start using LinkedIn, you need to choose how you're going to frame what you do, right, and make it so that people really understand it and people that want it. One of the things that we help lots of people with is try and change their business model slightly from time for money to a point where you no longer have to convince people about your experience. Like, you don't have to convince people that your experience is good enough to solve their problem. That's what typically happens when you sell your time for money. Like, I've experienced this a lot when I did a lot of my coaching, when that was one of the services that I offered. And what I also noticed was it was like feast and famine from a revenue point of view. So what I prefer is monthly recurring revenue. Do I have any monthly recurring revenue fans on this? Like, does anyone like monthly recurring revenue? So every month money coming in rather than one-off. Curious, totally fine either way, I don't mind. Like, it's one of the things that we really focus in on purely because it de-risks us. And so whenever I work with any business, whenever my business partner works with any business, Nick, like, we focus in on helping people create that monthly recurring revenue business, right? And so the first step is framing what you do in that sort of way if you can. Like, that way, we can then look at the language so your prospects start to understand it and then actually want it. We did this with George Burns on the right-hand side there. Like, those changes for he is a property deal sourcer. So it's a property business. Some of you like it, some people don't, which is fine. But again, with it, he ended up raising, I think, 2 million quid when he changed the way that he was packaging up the deals. He also did some education, and rather than just doing coaching, he created a program that was a monthly mentoring program. And with that, he put 60 grand in the bank. Not bad, but actually before it wasn't selling purely because people just weren't understanding it. And also the revenue was unpredictable, whereas this is going to give him revenue every single month without fail now. Getting that model is absolutely beautiful for you if you can get that right. So that's number one. If you've not got that in place, you need to get that in place. We then move to your marketing message. So many people at the moment are wondering why their online activity isn't generating inquiries. Is anyone else can be honest with me today and say that? Like you're sitting there, you're active on a platform like LinkedIn, and you're wondering where all the inquiries are. Everyone's saying it's a great platform, but not really sure where all my inquiries are at. Where are my inbound leads that everyone keeps talking about? It's something that I was speaking to Lloyd's. So I went into Lloyd's Bank a number of months ago and did a talk for all of the businesses in there as well. And we spoke about this in depth. Like, the biggest problem we see is that so many aren't showcasing the best version of themselves online. I was only speaking to a client of ours called James 3 days ago. And on the call, like, I could see passion, authority, credibility, empathy. I could really see how great he was. And again, with it, I don't need you to answer this for me. I need you to think about it, though. Like, when I then looked at James's social media, he came to me and he was like, Chris, why is this just not working? I'm doing everything that I should be doing. Why is it not working? I was like, well, James, like, this version of you right now that I'm speaking to, fantastic. I then look at your social media profiles and I don't see this version of you. I almost see, and it was quite hard for him to hear, but I see the most boring version of you, not the best version. And so we need to really think about, like, if you're a business that's currently generating lots of word of mouth referrals, here's one of the biggest symptoms. Anyone out there, the majority of their business come from word of mouth. Just give me, I know I'm asking you to write a lot, but it's so this gets really engaging for you, so you take it in. For those of you that get word of mouth, that means you're good at what you do, right? We know this. However, if you're not showcasing that online, how on earth is anyone else going to know how good you are at what you do unless they work with you? This is why people get stuck with social. They don't showcase the best version of themselves online. So they're not out there communicating on video. They're not sharing the stories of what it is that they're doing. They're not sharing the scenarios of what they're going through and how they're helping people and how they're making a difference. The majority of them just showcasing their personal lives. And I'm like, yes, your personal life might generate impressions. It might get you some engagement. But what it will not do is showcase why people need to work with you. This photo on the right here at Lloyd's Bank, I put this on LinkedIn. Like, anyone guess? I've got 25,000 followers on LinkedIn. Anyone want to have a guess at how many impressions a post like that got on LinkedIn? Just me announcing that I'm talking at Lloyd's, giving them a talk on lead generation and generating business online. Anyone want to have a guess, right? This is going to blow your minds, right? In terms of like the number of it. So Convert's been brave and had a guess at 500. I can tell you it's a lot lower than that. A post like this where people are like influencers out there reaching millions of people, like hundreds of thousands of people. That post right there, not glamorous whatsoever. 2,000 impressions. Nothing. Rubbish. However, that post there, one of the things that everybody, whenever I was having sales calls around that time was, Chris, I saw you were doing a talk at Lloyd's. Like what was that about? The amount of conversations that got started, because you know what? In that post, I shared what it was that I went through. What were the biggest challenges? What was the biggest experience? It wasn't about getting huge impressions, which is why people are brainwashed with this platform about going viral. Like you need to just start showcasing the impact that you can make, not your personal life or you on holiday. Now, don't get me wrong. I've been traveling the world for the last year, so a lot of my content has been photos of me away. But the reality is inside of that is advice, it's direction, it's challenging people, it's how I'm overcoming conflict, it's all the wins, all the losses. And with that comes a lot of credibility. People seem to have this expectation that every person like we meet on LinkedIn understands the problem that we solve, right? You've got to make people problem aware in your content. Get them thinking about things that, do you know what, they may not have thought about before. When it comes to LinkedIn, like you've got to understand what's going to grab attention. So the image is so important. Your headline, so important. But the content then that comes after that has got to be showcasing the best version of you. Because that's what's then, when you implement those strategies, that's what's going to allow your prospects to figure out their need to solve the problem that you solve. Because then when you start promoting webinars like this, they're going to be interested because they've seen you talk about it over and over and over again. Is this making sense, by the way? Can I just get a yes, thumbs up? Is this all making sense? Like, is it coming home? Is there maybe some changes that you now need to start making with this stuff? I'm really glad that it is, guys. Amazing stuff. We now move into the process part, right? So once you've got your marketing message in, you then need to realize the importance of having that proven conversion campaign, right? So that process there, again, is what I showed you before. And first things first with all of this, like we all need to realize that selling to strangers is a journey. So we all start from zero. If you've not been doing this with webinars, then again, this is your starting point. You're going to be starting from zero. And there are several different touch points required over a certain time frame to build up enough trust and credibility for someone to want to work with you. Your LinkedIn accounts are just tools to be able to connect with new people, start conversations, and then drive people to the next part of that process. Jamie is the example here that I'm going to use on the right-hand side there. So building this webinar process should take you 3 weeks, about an hour a day of work, and it's what we did with Jamie. We get the offer nailed. So you need to reframe your offer, right? Something that's really important. We then need to make sure it's a bit different to everything else that's kind of out there if we can. So with Jamie, everyone was selling 2-day property courses. I was like, Jamie, you go out there and you sell a 2-day course, it won't work. Let's sell a 3-month program and really focus in on what the outcomes are going to be and focus the marketing message on the outcomes that people want. We then get an email list set up. So note to self, if you've not got an email list right now, write it down. The first thing is, let's get your email list sorted, because we've got to start moving our followers, connections, and friends off of social media into an email database so we can then market our services. We do that by creating lead magnets, so things that you create for free, and then also conversion pieces of content like a webinar to generate the sales opportunities. Once you match the above, like all of that above, with a great message, really simple stuff here, you'll start to see the power of this machine, right, working together. So I'm not going to go through the boring stats of it, but really 50% of the people that register for your webinar will show up to it. And then you can expect between a 10 and 20% to then book a call in with you. So if you get 100 people registered, 50 people showing up, and then from that 50, 5 to 10 should be booking calls in with you. That's the marketing by numbers, really basic overview here for you so you get it. Now, with that, when Jamie ran his webinar, he started to build up his audience, like all you should be doing, content that I've just explained to you, sharing what it is that you do, the impact that you make. Right, just let people know in the chat box, in the last 6 months, just put one impact, one difference you've made for someone in the past. What have you done in your business? Brief, but make it 4 or 5 words. What is it that you've done that's really helped someone, that's really made an impact, that's really made a difference? What have you done? Write it in the chat because you can tell everybody. Put it in there, right? Giving the child the confidence to learn again. 6 months out of work to dream job. Come on, it's got to be more than that. Found a candidate a great job. Save 50% electricity savings. Provided good quality accommodation. Empowered a woman to travel. Look at this stuff. Now I ask you, how many people have you told that to? How many times have you shared that story? How many people have seen that you've made that difference? Like, this is the stuff that we need to be talking about over and over and over again, because Jamie did the same thing. Jamie hadn't done this. Jamie then ran his launch, and from the 27th of April to the 13th of May, put 46,000. Now, he did extremely well. Like, it was unreal what he did. 46 grand in the bank. But the webinar took his social media traffic, put it into the webinar, 200 to 300 people showed up to it. It was madness. And he did 46 grand in sales, selling a £3,000 program. When you introduce your services at these webinars, that's when you start to turn the opportunities into the sales that you're after. Like, we work with everyone. You're going to run a webinar a month, right? We focus then on the process and get absolutely climbing into it organically and then with paid advertising. He did over £1 million, to be fair to him, did incredibly well in the first year. But it's about getting that process in place, right? This process that I'm going to have to share with you and go into even more detail in again now, even more detail for you, has seen hundreds of people go through it. First webinars generating results. One webinar, results coming in. Like, this is why people like see the wins, because you've got low-hanging fruit there. It's just over and over and over again. And with it, I said I'd talk to you about something that we do. I've got another probably half an hour's worth of content coming for you now, actually. But one of the things that I do is strategy sessions. So I do these on Zoom at the moment, but I actually spend 2 hours reviewing your current approach. Daniel, we spent a little bit of time working together briefly on this. I think our photo's in here somewhere. But we spend time talking about your process, time improving things. We list out the actions. So we build out the strategy, focusing in on the direction and then the changes that need to make. Daniel, your webinar, you generated some sales from that webinar, like immediately, I'm pretty sure, like from your first one. I can't remember exactly what it was. Like, it's insane. Like, there's only certain changes that you need to make. But when we go through this, we talk through like, what's the best thing to sell? The marketing message. Last year, I did over 50 of these sessions. And again, forget the price point for now. We sell them for around about 2 grand at the moment. But genuine, just out of curiosity, because I'm going to be offering something here, who would find value in a session like that, like the one that Daniel went through? And like the 2 hours focused in creating strategy. Forget about the price point for now. Don't worry about the price. I just want to, if people would see the value in that sort of session so we can see where we are. 2 hours going through, detailing it out. Cool. It's a few of you. Amazing stuff. So with it, I'm going to be talking to you something at the end where you get that like 2 hours that's normally around 2 grand. The creation side of things is then what you need to do to consistently sell. So you've got audience, control, and pipeline. 3 things: audience, control, pipeline. Building the right audience is some really quick key things you need to think about. Number 1 is really making sure that you only connect with people that are active on LinkedIn. So before you connect with them, click into the person's profile. You can send 100 connection requests a week. Make sure you max it out. It takes you 10 minutes a week. go there and just go through, click their profile, go into their activity section, scroll down slightly on their profile, and just see if they've posted or commented in the last 7 days. If they haven't, don't add them. It's a waste of a network connection request because they're not going to be on the platform enough. You want to be connecting with active people. That is going to take your acceptance rates up to at least 50%. And we track this in our software every single day to understand the direction that we're making. When I switched from connecting with everyone to being selective and making sure that they're active, our revenue, that monthly recurring revenue, just kept growing. And that's the thing that you need to realize here. When you get monthly recurring revenue, a webinar, and you then keep it ticking over, that's where the difference is made. Your ideal client, right? You need to think about what's going to help you stand out. So all of you there have just shared your wins, right? You've just shared the big things that you've done. Big thing in our community is about sharing progress and updates and wins. Now, when you start to really focus in on, some of you might know Eric Partaker. Eric was a client of ours for a year and a bit, doing amazing things on LinkedIn. Tony, that is ideal client avatar, just to confirm. But it's about understanding how you can make a difference on platforms like this, right? What is the impact that you can make? Eric's content is fantastic, does amazingly well, and his audience has grown because he found a gap and he hammered the gap. You need sometimes some help to find that gap, which is totally okay. It's why we're here. It's why we worked with Eric when we did. Now with it, you can see here, like you don't even need a huge audience. So this is my fiance, Zoe, 880 followers. I think she's got 900 followers on LinkedIn. She was able to reach 133,000 people. That was her talk. Bearing in mind, her property business was about dog-focused serviced accommodation. So dogs were part of her business, right? And 133,000 impressions. And with it, lots of messages coming through because we connected that process together. Active, with the right content, with the right messaging, then just got the investment opportunities coming through. But again, with it, didn't even need a webinar for this one, but it's just about that connected process. Control then, when you've built up the audience, is then about making sure that you realize that selling consistently is not done on social media. Can everyone see on the right-hand side here? This is a lead magnet, 100 content ideas for social sellers. Oh, by the way, if you'd want a copy of the 100 content ideas for social sellers, just put the number 100 in the chat and I'll get it to you at the end of the session. But this is something that we give away for free. 605 comments that got on LinkedIn, people downloading that document, 39 reposts, 605 comments. If you think about it, if we were selling in person, it would take 2 to 3 conversations before you would typically sell something. So I sit here wondering why people are trying to sell on platforms like LinkedIn when they've never met the person. They would never do it if they met the person right now anyway. What you need to realize is that you need to build trust and credibility. And so what we do is we create free resources, free videos. Webinars like this are a great example of this, right? But they're a way to be able to demonstrate value and why we're different. Now, some people say to me, but Chris, like I've created lead magnets in the past, but no one's downloaded them. It's because your lead magnets aren't good enough. You've all just seen how many of you have just put the number 100 in the chat. It's because the lead magnet is something that people want. You need to create something that people want. And if you don't know what the answer is, you need to speak to somebody that does. Because we have created some incredible lead magnets in the past that's got lots of traction and attention. And there is one for every single business that gets the same reaction that we do. But you need to work out what you're going to do to demonstrate where you can add value. Because just posting a bit of content on LinkedIn is not enough. Webinars are a great way of being able to do it. You then move into the pipeline stage. This is understanding what you can do to promote your conversion content. So this is where you can post about your LinkedIn events. You can post about your resources. So these are all things that you can do. And we take you through this in a very step-by-step process, right? So today's webinar is very small, but it got 450 people registered. And there was over 100 of you that ended up joining it, which is great. Like perfect for us on a Sunday. Testing a weekend, they're not always that popular, right? But we do direct messaging. So we automate direct messaging so it sends it out. We get LinkedIn events sending 1,000 invites a week. We build our email list and then send 5 emails out. We run ads and then we begin inviting people to webinars. This I know can sound like a lot of work, but I don't do any of it. Right? Like this is just systems and technology that take 5 to 10 minutes to set up. And as long as you've got the resources, which can take a bit of time and a bit of getting right, but like it will drive hundreds of people to your workshops throughout the year. And that's where the power of this comes in, because you only need 10, 15, 20. Yes, Tracy, we do. Automating the messaging is exactly what we do. But when you do it, 83 actions, 57 comments, 10 posts, 17 new program assignments, just from a week's worth of work. That's getting that messaging sorted and driven and working on your behalf. Because when you then start to understand what you need to create, you can then move into conversion. So that's about process psychology in the pitch. So your process, you can see here, right? Like this is like the show up rates, 29%, 37%, 55%. Look at the numbers of the registrations here, folks, by the way. Like this is how many people are here for the first time. So this is our software that tracks it. We're releasing for this for customers very, very soon as part of our service. So it's all included. But first message, first attendees, second attendees, and how many customers joined. It's one thing running a webinar. You've got to get people to then show up. And again, 30 to 50% is typical. We then send email reminders, sometimes text message reminders. We post on social media platforms. We send direct messages. You get that process in place and working for you. Suddenly, you've got this well-oiled machine that just drives you through even the tough moments. And Ashley did this with his new business. And you can see here, he did 21 members in his mentoring team. Really solid results, actually, from Ash there, to be fair. The psychology of the webinar. So this is about what you put into it. And with this, I am running out of time here, so I'm going to try and cover as much as I can. But actually, these presentations and webinars aren't about filling it with loads and loads of value, because that leads to overwhelm. What you need to do is structure them. So I structure them in a 3-part process. Part 1 is about helping you get really clear on the mistakes that you're making and what you need to change. Part 2 is then about focusing in on the things that you're missing, the things that you don't have in place. And then part 3 then is about understanding the outcome and what you need to do to get the outcome. So the structure to this then focuses in on the problems to a target market that need to solve that problem. So you've got to start with thinking about your audience, right? What is it that they're really struggling with? What is it that they really want? What is it that they're really wanting to change relating to what it is that you do? Ineffective actions, missing actions, and outcomes. Part 1, part 2, and part 3. And when you get that right, that's why webinar 1 conversion, webinar 2 conversion. Signed 8,100, whatever, 8,000 francs, $8,100 made. Daniel O'Connor did the same thing, 30 grand in sales. When you just get the psychology and the process, and then you deliver to the right people at the right time, boom, that's where it happens. And when it comes to the pitch, this is the bit that I focus in on so much, when it comes to when we work with people. You've got to simplify what it is that you're going to do. What process are you going to take people on? What outcome are you going to deliver? It needs to be linked and connected to something that your audience want. And your webinar, your job with it is to demonstrate how you make an impact. So all of you have just written the impacts that you've had. That could be a theme of that webinar for you. When you then get to certain points, you introduce to how your service works. And with it, you then get the same results that these people do. The exact same thing. But this is about showing up as the most passionate, enthusiastic version of you as you possibly can. Right? So this is just what we need to get working. You've got to highlight what you're doing. This goes for your content, webinars. Go into it. We spend hours. You can see the feedback that we give people on the right-hand side. Every single person we work with, we really nail in on the feedback. Specific things. Then see here, you can see, thank you for your advice on how to tweak it. 17 calls, another 9 to change. Boom, straight in. Here's some more feedback. Change these things. This is what you're doing well. People completely underestimate this level of service. This is why the results are so strong. Angie there, 3 signups again, 14 more scheduled calls to complete. When you join all of it together, again, these are the things that you can automate. You can use AI to help you. Your sales conversion process, your onboarding and delivery, all of it just syncs through really nicely together to then start seeing the sales numbers just keep tickling in. To start generating this sort of lead generation process, you just need to follow the steps. It's not that complex. And so building a business right now, right, is not that complicated. Nothing's really changed that much. But I want to remove the guessing from you. I want you to stop hoping for the best here. And that's what the Social Selling Academy does. So today, it's about talking to you now about what we do. Because what we have done is remove the guesswork. and giving you the 4 things that everybody said that they wanted from me. The first thing was step-by-step training. So give me the process, Chris, and show me how to build it. That's number 1. The other thing was accountability. So people were wanting one-to-one calls with us every month, one-to-one, talking through the process, showcasing what they've done well and what they need to improve upon. Like removing the excuses. That's what people wanted. That's what we've given. The third thing is then weekly sessions to learn more, to ask questions as we're going through. So 2 weekly sessions, Mondays at 12 p.m., Thursdays at 2 p.m., all in there. And then we've removed even more of the guesswork and then started to launch the technology that's going to give people the data and also landing pages and lead magnet hosting so people can start to really track and build their email lists. Our Academy program, it isn't for everyone, and you can't just join it. You've got to talk to me. We've got to make sure that you like us and we like you, because we spend a lot of time talking together. We do work with you for a year, right? So you're going to work with us for that transformational period, running a webinar every single month. Once you join, we have that strategy session and map out what you're going to do. You then gain access to the step-by-step training program. We have a monthly call in where we take you through sustainable sales, productizing your skills, refine your offer, building your audiences. We take you through everything, like you've just seen with so many others that they've done. And again, every month we've got a one-to-one session for 30 minutes. It's with me or my business partner, Nick, where we review your progress, making sure that the work is done, because there's stuff that you need to do, stuff that we need to do. This is with us. You're then not going to be passed to randomers. You're going to work with us, and then we're going to tell you what you need to change. We review every element. We watch your webinars. We watch your sales calls. We read your documents. We watch your website. We look at everything. So you no longer have to worry about whether something's right or wrong. You just need to do what we tell you to do. We give you templates, scripts, structures. So you get my presentation decks, you get my sales call structure. And then once you start to see the wins, we then continuously improve. So 600 businesses now have gone through this program. And today you have the opportunity to join us. So you get all of everything that I've just mentioned there. It's £250 plus VAT per month. And do you remember that clarity session, that 2-hour session for the 10 of you? We only have the time, me and Nick, we're doing it together. And we're going to be doing this next week and the week after. But that 2-hour session, we're going to be giving you that included in your £250 a month membership. So you don't pay £2,000. You're going to get a 2-hour one-to-one session with us when you join us for the year, £250 plus VAT per month. No upfront payment, just £250 plus VAT per month. And we're going to be going through that. We're going to get you all onboarded on Tuesday. And then from Tuesday, we're then going to book in that session and we're going to go into a lot of detail around what it is that you do. We've allocated 20 hours to be able to do it. And so for 10 of you, I want to really focus in on making a difference here. We said we're going to make an impact and that's how we're going to do it. But there's also more. We're also going to be running every quarter an in-person mastermind. So you bring your challenges, you bring your business up there, you join 20 other businesses who are on the same journey as you. We normally charge that at £500 a day. That's included as well. So no additional cost. Your food and drink for the day are paid for. It's normally in Birmingham or it's in Derby. And then you get the opportunity to learn from others as well as us. So like these days, you get them in your diaries and you don't miss it because they are absolutely awesome. And we normally go for a drink with some food afterwards as well. So again, with it, you get all the training, you get all the process, you start to build that webinar process straight away. And then from there, we're going to have that 2-hour session going in one-to-one with me and Nick. Nick, my business partner, built and sold his company for over £100 million. So that advice I have benefited from over the last 5 years. He is now involved in this business, helping me grow it. And I absolutely love having him a part of it. So if you want to join us, right, you just need to book a call in to make sure that we're the right fit. That's all we need to do. There's a few questions that I need you to answer. And that call is 30 minutes. I'm going to be doing them over the next couple of days. The link to book the call in is there. The QR code is also there. Now, I'm hoping that session, whether that is right for you or whether it isn't, right? I don't mind either way, but at least it was helpful. So can I just get some feedback from you? Has that been helpful for you today? Just give me a thumbs up if it has. Just let me know if it has. You'll notice that the link there takes you to my Calendly. Calendly then enables you to book in a call with me. That then, if you fill out the form, answer the questions, I'll then speak to you either tomorrow or Tuesday or Wednesday. If none of the times work, and you might want to speak, like if you want to speak today, just put the word today in the chat if you'd like to speak to me today. Right, totally fine if you don't. Otherwise, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then from there we can go through. So I really do hope that you've enjoyed today's session. I've tried to get through it as quickly as I possibly can. I appreciate that feedback, Liz. Thank you very much. But with it, like I say, we are making a huge impact right now. Even my free information, I'm hoping to make a bit of a difference. And so, yeah, the feedback of it, I really appreciate, everyone. That's really, really helpful. So the questions, I'm just going to double check in the Q&A. I use Google instead of Zoom. Does that matter? No, that's totally fine. Helena, just drop me a message if you do. We do have something like that. Just drop me a message on LinkedIn and I can send you some details, 100%. Tony, I hear LinkedIn reduces impressions when you add an external link. So yeah, so I get people to comment for my lead magnet, Tony. That's how I don't reduce the reach. So do I just do this intake once per year? No, we do it multiple times a year. It just comes down to like our time, Sarah, to be honest, and how much we've got, because me and Nick are busy and we can only take on so many. And so it's normally done on the number of people rather than how many intakes per year. It's just down to the numbers more than anything. How many lead magnets do you have? If more than one, how do you decide what lead magnets to create? So I have 2 currently, but I'm going to be creating one every single month, Debbie. So again, with it, I don't pick and choose. There's no real approach to it. I just share them as and when. I try to share at least one every single month, and therefore it keeps the lead flow coming in. So amazing stuff, guys. Thank you so much for your participation today. I appreciate that it's a Sunday and you've got lots of things to do. We've still got the majority of you here, which is like amazing. If anyone does have any other questions, please feel free. I'll hang around for another minute or so you've got time to type through. For those of you that have booked your calls in, I really look forward to speaking to you and looking forward to potentially working with you as well. For those of you that it's not the right time, that's also totally okay. I totally appreciate that. Yeah, of course, I'll put the link in for you again. There you go. The QR code should take you to it anyway. But there it is again for you, just in case you don't have it. Any feedback that you've got for me, if there's anything that you want me to talk about next time, please just drop me a message on LinkedIn. I'm always around. I do get a lot of direct messages, so I do try and get my way back to everyone. But if I don't respond to you within a week, just drop me another message to remind me, because you might have just been buried. But have an amazing weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. You've all been I've absolutely loved today's session. It's been awesome. But yeah, thank you very, very much. Have a great one. And I will speak to you all very, very soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.